Yeah, welcome back to the show. Today we got a super special guest, Michel, aka BloodySamoan.
Thank you for having me. So as a gamer, my game of choice is Tekken.
DreamHack's coming up. Are you going to go play?
I'm going to be entering the Tekken tournament. When people have to take a chance, have to take a risk, they ask themselves, what's the worst that could happen? My mindset was, what's the best that could happen? And the cool thing is, as a trained professional wrestler, if I lose, I can powerbomb someone through the table.
This is why you play King.
There is a viral video on YouTube of me doing King's moves in real life. Everything I do in there is safe. I am a trained professional.
Yeah, don't try this at home.
I'm very much fueled by passion. I want to show that the impossible dream is possible. People like a Samoan comic book artist, professional wrestler, gamer, animation, story artist, like, how do you do it? I was like, I love this I might as well give it a go.
Do you have a favorite place in America that you've been?
Seattle, yeah, is one of the places that I really enjoy just because it felt familiar. There's a burger joint called Dick's that's really good too. So like whenever I go to Seattle, I really enjoy eating a bag of Dick's.
Welcome back to the show. Today we got a super special guest, Michel, aka BloodySamoan, and I'll let him do his own introduction because that's how we roll here.
Sweet. Thank you for having me. I appreciate being on the show. My name is Michel Manipola, aka the BloodySamoan. I'm a comic book artist, professional wrestler, professional gamer. Back home in Aotearoa, New Zealand, I'm a Duffy Books and Homes role model, so I do a lot of school visits around the country. And I just wrapped up as a story artist with Disney Animation Studios. But my current job for Disney is as a cultural consultant.
That's awesome. Now, speaking of, I wanted to, like, when I was reading up on you and all that sort of stuff, cultural consultant. Let's start off with that. What is that?
So, you know, when you have stuff like Moana, and obviously there's the Moana live action series,
yep, and
then there's merchandising that comes along with that. My job as a cultural consultant would be to kind of just double check and make sure things are culturally appropriate,
yep,
and right, and also kind of flag things that aren't quite hitting the mark culturally. So that's kind of my position, as well as overlooking projects, I guess, if they do anything, again, usually based around Moana being Samoan. You know, I can kind of oversee that and go, hey, you know, this is good, this isn't, and this is how you can change it or whatnot.
It seems like an awesome job. It would be fulfilling, right?
Yeah, especially, you know, I'm not like an expert, or, you know, like a full-on expert. I'm not the one and only voice,
yeah,
you know, kind of thing, but I am a voice that at least is in there and can check Disney, you know, on some of the stuff they're representing our people with.
Yeah. I saw a couple things online that some people are not happy with, but it's like, you're not there now, so it's not you.
Yeah. So like, yeah, like the live action thing, like funny enough, Disney Studios and Disney Animation Studios are like in two entirely different beasts. Like they operate individually from each other. So
I think that's a lot of companies. Like I noticed that Warner Brothers and Warner Brothers Animation and Sony Animation, completely different fields, like different people, different way they work. It's actually quite like, it's rare to see that because I used to work with little companies where everyone's the same thing. But when you go to the big companies, it's like two different worlds. And
you definitely have a lot of experience in dealing with those kind of conglomerates. And Disney Studios, when I was there in Burbank working at the studios, Disney Studios felt very corporate.
Yeah.
Disney Animation Studios was very creative. Like there's this creative aura of energy within the building, because I realized that's where people make stuff.
Yeah.
That's where people tell stories. And so that's where creativity like blossoms in that environment. And so I really enjoyed my time working at the studios because I was like, yeah, this is my jam. Like this is the vibe I love. And I felt free to create stuff in that environment. So I'm not too sure what Disney Studios is like, but from what I gathered through my tours, like it feels very corporate.
I went to Disney Studios, but not to the, like I did see the movie side of things, but I was mainly in the marketing side of things. And that place is like that's where it's really professional. It's like, I don't think there's any room to play around there. It's like everyone's corporate, and it's kind of like, even though I love being there as a person that's working in the industry, because you know that's like, they're the rooms you want to be in. But as you said, like the animation studios where they're being creative and stuff, that's, as artists, that's where we like, that's where we thrive. That's where we can talk. That's where we can actually implement our skills. Because when we're with marketing, we're just saying yes, okay. What do you need?
What's the brief? You know, like
What's
what
the
do you,
brief?
what do you want us to hit?
What's the deadline? What can I do? What can I add? What can I not add?
Yeah.
And then that's basically it.
Is it one of those places that the energy just feels different as soon as you enter?
Like
everyone's so
it depends
intense
who you're with.
Yeah.
Like I was, like when I went there last time, I had, there was a girl named Erica that used to work there. When she has energy, like when someone has energy, it's like it'll always liven up the place. But when there's people, it's like they've been overworked or anything, the energy's low, and you're just like, you feel like baggage when you're there. You just don't want to talk. It's like, cool.
Look at this guy smiling.
Yeah.
It's like, it must be nice to smile.
The animation studio is like, I was surprised by the environment when I stepped in. I was like, okay, this feels familiar.
Yeah.
You know, the creative aura, right? And like, I got to do some life drawing while I was there too. Like, that was cool. Like, I'm doing some life drawing at Disney Animation Studios, and full testament to the team and the people there in that building. Like, even the security was awesome. Yeah. Like, I had to go in and get my like temporary daily badge. And like after the second day, they're like, "Oh, bro, you're here again. Like, no full badge yet." Yeah. Nah, not yet. And then I go into the building, and Michelle, the really lovely security guard at the reception desk, was like, "Hey, how's it going?" Blah blah. And I was just like, "Holy crap!" Like, even the security's awesome. And for a brown dude, like, it's like, wow, the security are cool. Like, it's that's a rare.
That's when you know you made it. Security lets you in.
Yeah, but everyone in Disney Studios, like animation studios, was like so great to work with and very welcoming and accommodating for me being there. And
how many times have you been to the US? Plenty of times.
I've been a few times.
Yeah, mainly for work. Right?
Yeah, mainly for work stuff. And like, I was essentially a guinea pig for Disney Animation Studios because I got to do my work from Auckland, New Zealand. I didn't have to be in LA. Yeah. And they kind of created a whole system to kind of allow me to do that. Yeah. And my initial contract was 5 weeks, and then in my third week of doing story stuff, they extended it to like 7 months, 8 months. Oof, and so that was me just at home, like in New Zealand, just kind of in the hood. I live in the hood, making Disney stuff. And whenever we had teething problems, I'd email and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, this is the first time we've kind of done this, so then we'll try and figure this out." So it'll be interesting to see whether they use that approach again, because now that opens up the possibilities for international talent who don't necessarily need to be in America.
I think they've been widening the scope of talent, especially after COVID. They started dabbling with people working at home, and I think that's actually awesome because there's like massive talent in Indonesia,
everywhere,
Singapore, Japan that want to work with Disney, but they can't go abroad. And if we can do stuff like with the power of Zoom and all that sort of stuff, it's like we can work abroad. As long as AI doesn't take over. But it's like we can work from here, and because we're digital. Everything we do is digital. The only thing is the time, like the time difference.
Yeah, the time difference, luckily for me, like, 'cause I'm so used to it, having been back and forth to the States several times. I was like, I always thought, LA, 5 hours ahead, a day behind. That's kind of how I think. And so it's like, and again, Disney Animation Studios were so accommodating to me that any Zoom meetings I had to be at, they would schedule to be a decent hour New Zealand time.
Yeah, I noticed Disney's good with that. But there's some companies like, hey, are you available at 4 a.m. your time? I'm not. But it's like, can you make yourself available? I'm like, okay, I'll get up. And then you get up and it's like, hey, how you doing? We just want to catch up. How you been? I'm like, I'm good. Is that it?
The only times I would wake up early was when we were having screenings of the current cut of what we were working on. And that would be like 9 a.m., American time, LA time. So I would have to get up at 4 or 5 a.m. But that was fine, but that was like three or four times.
We're used to it, like because you do go to US and come back here and you do the late hour deadlines and stuff. We're used to that stuff. And that's what's fine with it. And as you said, like opening up the possibilities of working abroad. It's sometimes hard to go to America, especially for work. I recently went for 4 months to work, and I don't want to ever do that again.
Honestly, it's like, when they first floated the idea of me working, they're like, oh, maybe for the 5 weeks we can have you live in LA, and I was like, that would be cool, but I would need to sort out accommodation and the right work visa. And then I think maybe they thought, that could actually be a lot of hassle.
Yeah.
And so they're like, oh, we reckon you could do it from home. And I was like, awesome, because LA's a shithole. It's like, you know, when you come from somewhere like Aotearoa, like New Zealand, like and then you go to like America, and like America's great, but in short stints, right?
Very, very short stints.
Yeah.
Like LA, like you said, it's like I love LA for a week.
Yeah.
For a week. After like I was in LA for like a month, it's just like I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
I need to get out of here.
And and it makes you appreciate what you have at home.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like America's that like they always ask us like what we have here.
Yeah.
In Australia, they always ask us about spiders.
Oh,
Like, and that conversation I've had like at least 900,000 times. But yeah, when we talk about Australia or we talk about New Zealand, it's like we're promoting it, but we're not. It's like it's literally home and we're happy.
Yeah.
And it's like it's not because we were born there, or it's not because we've been there for such a long time. It's because it's legit. When we speak about freedom, that's like we have it.
Yeah.
It's like we do what we want. We wake up when we want. We do the jobs we have, and we get good pay. It's like
Thankfully,
And they're fairly safe places to live.
Yeah.
You know, obviously,
there is the bad eggs, but it's like you can go out at night. Like if something does happen, that was the one-off.
Yeah.
Not the expected.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and like when I was working at the animation studios for a couple of weeks in LA last year, it was just really weird because I had only spent like maybe max 4 days in LA, and so 2 weeks was like the longest I spent in that city. And I remember lying in my hotel pool, like floating on my back, and I looked up and I was like, "Holy shit, where are the stars?" It just felt so weird not to see stars when you look up in the sky.
Yeah.
And I was like, the smog is that bad even at night that
Yeah,
you can't see stars.
We stayed at where was it? Shady was a Studio City.
Oh, yeah, around Universal and
Studio
stuff.
Yeah,
Yep.
Studio City. We had a pool. The place was nice, and it was good weather for like 2 weeks. And I noticed the same thing. It's like you look up, and it's like the sky is clear, but there's no stars. It says there's nothing.
Yeah.
It's like that's just the blank canvas, black
Yeah.
canvas. It's like you can't see anything.
I joked about the only place you can see stars in LA is on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
That's
That's the only place.
actually
That's the only place you'll see stars is on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and so and yeah, growing up in like Aotearoa and Australia, and like especially the Pacific, and then culturally, the Pacific people, we have a connection to stars.
Yeah.
So like just looking up and not seeing them, I felt disconnected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's us too,
Yeah.
man. It's like like Arabic Muslim,
Yep.
and like the stars and stuff is something we read into too. And it's like, especially when you're like feeling not well, or you're feeling you're missing home or anything, we look up to the stars to navigate.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And the fact that we don't see anything there, it's like, yeah, where's home?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just one of those. And then like going up to like Griffith Observatory and then looking across the city of LA, I'm like, the smog, you're like, that's just such weird.
That's the thing.
Weird
Yeah,
vibe.
it's like a lot of people go there. Even my friends go there. Whenever they go to the observatory, you think they're gonna like look at the stars and stuff, but they're looking at the city. It's like just go there, just drive there. You can see it.
Yeah, it's a weird, like environmentally, it's a weird place.
Yeah.
You know, especially coming from Australia and this part of the world where we have like nature is prevalent, like everywhere. We got backyards, we have trees and stuff. Like it's such. Yeah, I do feel a disconnect.
The weird
when
thing
I'm
about
in
LA is like it's not only the environment there; it's the people. They all seem to be chasing something.
Yeah,
They all seem to be like, I don't know how it is, busy,
Robots.
but not the 9 to 5 busy. It's like they're forever chasing something. It's like they never slow down, and you see it in them, and they're exhausted and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like you get the couple of people that are like happy and made it, but it's like the majority.
everyone's hustling.
Yeah, everyone's hustling,
Yeah.
and it's like,
They don't
and they're
even
not
take
hustling
breaks.
right.
They don't take breaks. They
They don't take breaks. They just get angry. Do you have a favorite place in America that you've been? Or
The one that I really liked, I usually do San Diego because I had family there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
San Diego's
And there's actually quite a large Samoan community in San Diego, so that's why I like doing San Diego and how I can do San Diego 'cause I got family there, so I don't have to worry about accommodation.
and the weather's always good.
Yeah,
that
and-
place is amazing.
And San Diego does also feel like Auckland. It's a harbor town. You know, there's a bit more trees and green than LA, and there's a lot of brown people. So often I get mistaken for being Latino. So they'll start speaking Spanish to me.
How crazy is it that it's like if people in Australia don't know, like San Diego and LA, like they're literally like an hour and a half, 2 hours drive.
Yeah.
And it's like it's two different worlds. It's like we're talking about this place like it's the most amazing thing, where this one's just here.
Yeah.
And it's like the worst place.
Yeah, and then and also San Diego being right at the border of Mexico and America, that's why you have a large Hispanic community.
Yeah.
In the town, and amazing Mexican food too.
That's their food. That's what I regret. I regret not dabbling in their food more. We should have done it.
We should have, man.
But yeah, San Diego. Yeah, again, it's the opportunities there through Comic-Con, but also my family there makes San Diego one of my favorite places. But the one that I really connected with the most was Seattle. Seattle is very much like Wellington in New Zealand. Again, harbour town, a lot of hills. But I remember flying into Seattle, and all I saw was pine trees, like all of this greenness. I'm like, oh my god, some place like this exists in America, because coming from California and LA and stuff was just a breath of fresh air, literally, because there was more trees. To come into a place that felt like home, and it was a little colder. Actually, Seattle would also be like Melbourne in terms of like kind of the harbour town, the climate as well as a little chillier, very much like Wellington. So, and they have really beaches. Mac and cheese is dope. And I've happened to stumble while in Seattle, upon a Australian New Zealand bar called the Kangaroo and Kiwi. I was just walking, I was like, Kangaroo and Kiwi, and then I walked and went, this is a Kiwi Aussie bar? What the? And they had like mince pies and some Aussie stuff as well, but the pies were yuck. But it was just kind of nice that there was a slice of home, just in Seattle, just randomly.
That's not Outback Steakhouse.
That's an Outback Steakhouse.
Kangaroo in Seattle. What's this?
But yeah, Seattle is one of the places that I really enjoyed, just because it felt familiar.
Yeah.
And there's a burger joint called Dick's. That's really good too. Like very much like their vision, and that was like nice simple menu, and like when it's simple you can do it really well. And so like whenever I go to Seattle, I really enjoy eating a bag of Dick's.
Daniel will love it. Are they little?
You can get small petite ones that fit nicely in your mouth, and you just wrap it, just one bite.
You can get little D's, bro.
One bite and it's gone. That's why my jokes is like, I love eating a bag of Dicks when I'm in Seattle. And people are like, what? Is it freezing, as they say in Archer? But so Seattle is one of the places I really enjoy.
It's awesome that you find like certain places, like when we go to certain places like Chicago and all that. We recently went to New York, and we got introduced to this place called Danny's Pizza. Yeah. And it's like literally the best pizza I've ever had, like ever.
Chicago style?
It's not Chicago style, it's New York style.
Oh, New York style.
So New York, was it in Queens, Shady?
Yeah, it was in Queens.
Queens. Yeah, so we went there. The place looked like the town, the street looked shady. Like no puns intended. But it's like, it looks like people were driving slow just watching you. But we were waiting in line, we got the pizza, and it's like, it was just amazing. It's like, what the hell is this? Because we went to another place before that. It was called Ray's, I think. And they had mad pizza. It's like we were rating it. And when we went to that place, it's like, makes the other place look like crap.
You suck.
Yeah, one place I haven't done that's on my list of America is Philadelphia.
I've heard good things about Philly.
Because screw the Rocky Steps, screw the Liberty Bell. I want the honest to goodness Philly cheesesteak, authentic Philly cheesesteak, man. I love, like when I'm in the States, it's like Philly cheesesteaks. If I can get one, I'll be eating that. And so I was like, I need to go to Philly to get an authentic one. Like,
but you got a lot of Americans that say, "Oh, it's like the best Philly cheesesteak is not in Philly." I'm like, it has to be. Yeah, it's like
why would it be called a Philly cheesesteak?
It doesn't make sense. You have to go to the place. Like if I'm gonna buy Chicago style deep dish pizza,
you got to eat
it in Chicago. You can't tell me to go to Canada to get it. I'm like, I got to go to Chicago.
And like New York. Yeah, I remember New York. I didn't mind. Again, I felt disconnected with all the steel and concrete. Like,
the concrete.
Like it just felt weird.
I think you'll feel more at home like we did. We stayed in New Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so just across the river. And it's like, it felt more like Melbourne.
Yeah.
It felt like, I don't know if you've been like border to the city, Carlton area, Carlton, Coburg. Like if you go there, it kind of felt like that.
New Jersey. Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, no, because I stayed
It's less busy.
Yeah.
It's like, because if you go to Manhattan, it's just like clutter.
Yeah, that's what it kind of felt like. And I stayed in Astoria around Queens.
Yeah.
And I remember just walking around going, "This is where Spider-Man's from. This is cool." and then I went down to Brooklyn to see where Captain America was from. You know. And then obviously when you're in New York, you know, you've got to take the subway to Coney Island and hoping you don't get bopped. You know, I was just like, yeah, I'm taking the Warriors pilgrimage, you know. And like, what I think I loved about New York was just seeing those the
iconic stuff,
the architecture and sets and places and the
like
locations.
I just wanted to go to past the barber shop that's in what's it called? Coming to America.
In Harlem.
I wanted to go to that. I wanted to see it. I wanted to like. Because I love that movie. It's my favorite movie. And I just wanted to see it.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about New York is because even in when you wanted to see the Joker steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went there. Like me and my friend Amir, we went there because after the movie, it's like, these are iconic. Let's go there. And we took pictures in the rain and stuff. And we went home and like I posted them online and people are like, you're lucky you didn't get stabbed. Yeah. It's like, those people in the apartments all looking at you wanted to stab you, but it was raining.
I remember like Central Park. I was like, there's a reason why there's a Central Park because there's so much metal and concrete all around.
I needs that platter cleanser. That's what it is.
But like walking along, it's like, oh, that's the apartment building from Ghostbusters. It's like, oh, this is awesome. And then also like, you're like, oh, let's go check out some of these locations from Marvel Comics. Yeah. And you go to Hell's Kitchen. It's like, oh, it's 2 blocks. Like, is this what Daredevil was protecting? It's like, what the? It's not that big.
I ended up going to the the Seinfeld the diner.
Yeah.
I ended up going there. It's like, oh, it's the diner. It looks exactly like it. That's the place. And we go in there and it's like so crowded, didn't it? Because you know when you watch Seinfeld, it's like it's spread out and they do the scenes, they do the chatting and stuff. Yeah. That's what I thought it was going to be like, but nah, you can barely move in there. Yeah. But it was good to see. It's like it's good to be part. Like that's why you like New York. Yeah. You're part of history and something you've grown up with.
Yeah, and especially when you don't live in America, right? Like it's just these things that you've only experienced through film and television. You know, and I remember when me and my mate were in LA, we were just driving around, and I was like, "Dude, golf and stuff." And he was like, "What? Golf and stuff from Karate Kid? Let's go play mini golf." And so we went to the mini golf course from Karate Kid just because we just happened to see it, and I just recognized it, and it was like,
that's why awesome. That's why Americans fun is so weird. Like I've seen like Round One arcades in a bunch of movies, and when we're there, I'm like, we go to Round One arcades to play Street Fighter. It's like, oh, let's all go there, and it's like I talk to my friends out of there. It's like, but we just went there. It's like, but I was like, I haven't been there.
Yeah.
Have you been to Hawaii?
I did. My mum used to live in Hawaii for like 10 years, and my brother was born there. So I visited there when I was a teenager, and I liked it. But then also it was the first time I'd seen like so many homeless people.
Yeah. Did you go Honolulu?
Yeah, my mum was living in Honolulu. Yeah.
That's where you'll see them the most. Yeah.
I've always wanted to go Hawaii, but it's like it never crossed my mind. But why not go to the like the OG New Zealand? I want to go.
Hawaii is beautiful though, but as you said, the homeless thing is a bit sad to see.
Yeah,
in terms of actually,
is it worse than LA or sus?
See, I haven't been to Hawaii in a while, so I didn't know how bad it is. My brother was there last year, and he said it was pretty bad.
Yeah, does it resonate more because it's more your culture and all that sort of stuff, or is it because when I went to LA, I felt the same way bad because I've never seen so many homelessness. Like I walk through the street and people are just like sleeping everywhere on the bridges and all that sort of stuff. That shit got to me.
Yeah, that does. Yeah, because you're just like, oh man, is it like it's so much worse than you thought.
And the thing is, you're on your way to like a party or some shit. It's like you got invited to something like a restaurant or something, and you're seeing that going there. It's like, and you can't even help because it doesn't work. And you see the commercials in America. It's like, let's stop homelessness. I'm like, do it. It's like. I know it's not easier said than done, but but it's like just small steps at least because it's just getting worse.
Yeah. So especially with the rising cost of living. Yeah. And rising rents and stuff, it's just making it so much like so many people are just a paycheck away from homelessness. Yeah. And it's just it's sad, and you also feel guilty that you get to kind of be successful and not
And
have to
live.
worry that they, and
Yeah.
it's a very nuanced problem, and you just hope that there is more than enough resources in the world to house these people
That's
and
true.
look after them, but just that's not the way the system works. Unfortunately, a lot of the people at the top need people at the bottom to stay at the top. And it's interesting, but
Elon Musk should fix it.
Instead of buying Twitter,
Dogecoin can be the solution.
I heard you mention Vegas before in Evo.
Yeah.
So what are you going to Evo for? I know why you're going to Evo, but tell me.
So as a gamer, my game of choice is Tekken, the fighting game series. I've been playing it since Tekken 1. Play it now with Tekken 7, and I've been part of the New Zealand Tekken scene for almost 20 years now. And I go to Evo and I compete in Tekken 7. And last year, Evo, I placed in the top 10% of Tekken 7 players in the world. And I actually had to take on Thankyou, who was the 2018 Tekken World Tour Champion, in my winners final in our pool, because we were smashing everyone else. And that was a really great experience, because I was like, okay, up against former world champ, let's see if you can handle it. And it was very hard to crack defensively, very strong spacing, defense, blocking and stuff, and it was really hard to crack him open. But there was a couple of times where I got him, and even his entourage were like, whoa, they were surprised with some of my tech. And so I was like, at least I got that.
That's good. It's happened with me with Street Fighter. When we got to play, I'm pretty sure Diego Omahara. We got to play him a few years, more than a few years back, but we got to play him, and it's the fact that when you get to almost taking a round, I know it's hard to take a round of him, because especially top ranking Japanese players, that last hit is it's like a full bar of health.
Yeah, you're Super Saiyan there on the one pixel Super Saiyan mode, right?
Yeah, but you just don't feel you feel like your practice has paid off, because even in New Zealand and Australia, the world definitely knows, because our internet can't connect to Americans and stuff properly. It's our training is limited compared to the rest of the world. So when you get to play against a pro player and you play pretty good, you feel good about yourself. You know you can level up even more.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, my reputation as a Tekken player, because I'm a king main, known as the king of New Zealand. So I'm like the final boss of king mains in New Zealand. I'm not known as the best king player, but I'm known as one of the most unique and creative king players. And I just pretty much utilize my creativity that I use as an artist in Tekken. And so I come up with all kinds of crazy tech that no one has seen before. And so when I was playing at Evo, I had all these Americans come up to me like, hey, can we play with King? Because your King's crazy as fuck. We've never seen any of this stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, this is how I came up with this tech. And in fact, I was playing some offlines in Melbourne last week. And there's a king main there as well. I was like, oh, let me show you some tech that I came up with. And so I was showing him, I was explaining to him how I came up with this tech, and he's just like, what the, who thinks like that? It's and so for me as a Tekken player, because I'm much older now and I don't compete as much as I used to. Now I'm kind of like a veteran, and some people call me uncle, which shows my age.
It's good.
But I also know it's a term of endearment. Now I'm just about sharing my experience, helping others, but also I don't want to be the best. I just want to be unique, and I find being unique in a massive kind of world, I guess, grouping of fighting game communities, is kind of cooler.
If you have a signature style, you stand out more than the bread and butter basics.
Yeah, exactly. So that's
someone saying I've never versed a king like that before. It's
never will. So that's where I get satisfaction now from gaming. It's not about placing. If I place, then awesome. But I'm just about having fun. I play for fun. And I don't care about frame data and all of that stuff. I just that's why people are like, man, you just do crazy stuff, because I just do stuff when I feel like it. I play Ultra Instinct style. It's bang, bang, bang. I'm just gonna do this, and then so that's where I find satisfaction now as a gamer. It's more about being unique, being different, standing out.
and still enjoying the game. That's the main thing with us. And the DreamHack's coming up.
Yes.
Right? Are you going to go play?
Yeah, I've got my ticket, so I'm going to be entering the Tekken tournament on Sunday. I'll probably wear my Tekken 3 King Steez outfit for the tournament, just to intimidate people. And the cool thing is, right, as a trained professional wrestler, if I lose, I can powerbomb someone through the table.
That's it's
like, hey, you better make me win.
This is why you play King, man. Yep. It's like you have to wrestle.
There is a viral video on YouTube of me doing King's moves in real life, along with footage. So I went through like King's moves list and I performed them on someone.
That's awesome. And this is in a match or
no? This is just on YouTube. It was just like I just like, hey, took one of the rookies. Hey, can I film me doing some wrestling moves on you?
That's awesome. We'll bring that up. We'll put it on.
I haven't even seen that.
It's my veteran status as a pro wrestler. I was like, hey, rookie, come over here and be my crash test on me. But everything I do in there is safe. Like, I am a trained professional. Of course.
Don't try this at home. That's
definitely
the whole thing.
Yeah, don't try this at home. But it was a lot of fun to try and do and try and replicate King's moves.
We're gonna try to go to DreamHack. Like, we'll see if we can get tickets. We'll come check you out.
I legit completely forgot about it.
I'll see you guys there, and I'll see you guys there. That'll be cool.
But for me, it's like as in like you're a Tekken fan. I'm pretty sure you're hyped for Tekken 8. I'm hyped for Street Fighter 6.
Yep.
So those two games, like for fighting game players, these are the stuff that is like they don't come often. But when they do, it's like you anticipate them so much. Like I've seen 8. Like I'm not a Tekken player, but Tekken 8 looks amazing.
Yeah, like 6. You got a couple of more months left for 6. Before 6
comes out in June.
June.
So we've been counting the days, man. We just watched that Lil Wayne.
The announcement
expose and showed like previews of the game. So
yeah, and then Tekken's probably next year. I would say it's still early in development, but like I'm a very aggressive player. Rushdown player, and so Tekken 8's emphasis on aggressiveness. Like I was like, that's right up my alley. that's my shit. And like King and Tekken 7 turned out to be like the perfect character for my play style. And so I was like, if I can capitalize and build on that in 8, like I'm gonna have so much fun. And King in the Tekken 8 trailer has like 4 flavors of power bombs. I'm like, I'm about to powerbomb some fools. He's got the pedigree now. He's got the RKO and stuff. Is like, okay, they're definitely going hard. And actually, the one character that I really like from Street Fighter 6 is Zangief.
Oh, Zangief looks good.
Because now they've given him more wrestling stuff. And I'm like...
He looks so good. And also, like, you got the MMA chick, Marissa.
The giant one.
The Italian. It's like, she looks so good. Like I saw them versing each other, but Zangief is like, he's got a lot of wrestling stuff. They look good as well. They don't look clunky, or they don't look like they look set up. Like they look like wrestling moves.
Yeah, because I watched that trailer of Zangief and I was like, wait, they've given him even more wrestling moves? He looks way more fun now. So I'm like, if I do play Street Fighter 6, I might pick up Zangief and see if I can have fun.
I love how they started him off with the luchador mask. Like he was like, he wasn't hiding or something. Yeah, that's so cool.
So that I was really happy with the Zangief trailer. And Zangief, funny enough, do you know the origin of the name?
Zangief?
Yeah.
No.
So there was a street wrestler named Victor Zangief in Japan. He was big in Japan. And so that's kind of where they got the name from, was Russian Zangief.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and...
I've never actually looked into the lore of the names, except Mike and Bison.
Yeah.
It was like the copy of Mike Tyson and they switched it off.
And like, funny enough, just showing my nerdiness, there's another video on YouTube that I did, the Tekken series, where I break down the origins of all the wrestling moves in the Tekken series. And I find clips of the actual moves and the wrestlers, and so it's like a video essay.
It's like a breakdown of the whole character.
It's like this move is made famous by this person, and blah blah, and then showing clips so people can see how much the Bandai Namco team and the Tekken Project team love pro wrestling. Because it's not just King; it's like every character has at least one pro wrestling move in their arsenal.
And it's good when they pay homage to like characters, because I know they pulled a lot from Japanese wrestling as well. That's cool that they look into that. And also, like, speaking of wrestling and you being a pro wrestler, I love, like, not recently, but I've gotten more into, like, just watching Japanese wrestling.
Yeah.
That's just so entertaining. It's so fun to watch. Especially, I just saw, like, I don't know the name, but it's like there's a dummy.
Oh,
It's like a dummy wrestler, and it's like that's one professional wrestler. That's like it's the funniest thing.
Yeah, it's like DDT stuff, because they like to do like crazy, insane stuff like that. And funny enough, last weekend, New Japan had a show here in Melbourne. New Japan Pro Wrestling Tamashi, and Shingo Takagi was in the main event against Robbie Eagles from Sydney, and Robbie Eagles wrestles for New Japan as well. But my friend Fale, Bad Luck Fale, from the Bullet Club, runs those shows here in Australia. And I just happened to be in town. And I'm like, bro, I didn't realize you had a show tonight. He goes, yeah, come on by. So, so it's really cool to kind of catch up and stuff. And I think there's a wrestling show this weekend that some New Zealanders are coming over for. So I'm going to try and catch up with them. Yeah. And yeah, like wrestling, you know, it's just one of those things. I fell in love with wrestling, funny enough, because of comics. Yeah. Because I loved comics as a little kid, and like I loved superheroes and supervillains. And I remember when wrestling was on television, I was like,
it felt the same. Yeah, it was like, you get the connection.
Yeah, it's like, wait, big muscly dudes and colorful tights beating each other up is like superheroes and supervillains. Yeah. So I fell in love with wrestling because to me as a kid, it was like, comics in real life.
There's the heel, there's the villains, there's the good guys, there's the betrayals. It had everything.
And the drama, right? And so, so that's how I found out wrestling, because of comics. Yeah. And my career in pro wrestling, funny enough, started off as a comic, because when you grow up as a wrestling fan, you always think to yourself, I'm going to be an amazing wrestler. Yeah. And I'll be an awesome wrestler. Yeah. And so I created a comic, which was essentially me as a professional wrestler. Yeah. And I thought, you know what? Why not turn this character into a real life pro wrestler? So Impact Pro Wrestling in Auckland had to try it, and I thought, fuck it, let's see where it goes. So I tried it out, and I've been wrestling ever since for like the last 18 years. I've been a pro wrestler.
That's the best story arc. It's like live action of your...
Yeah, so I took my comic book character and turned it into a real life professional wrestler, and so like, and so it's just interesting that I've been able to do that. And what's great is this character through professional wrestling has evolved and grown over the years, you know, and there's all these kind of like layers to this character now that I probably wouldn't have been able to do in comic form, but came to life through professional wrestling. Yeah. And, you know, I've been really fortunate.
It's a sick backstory though.
Is this comic still ongoing?
No, I only did one comic.
One comic?
Yeah, but
you should continue it.
I think you should you should continue do a run back, just like even if it's a one-off.
Yeah, I probably would do a one-off, if anything, because the characters become something else in real life that like I don't feel the need to tell a story in comic form. That's sick. But yeah, I've been very fortunate. You know, I've been former New Zealand heavyweight champion, former New Zealand tag team champion several times, and one of those times I was New Zealand tag team champion, it was me and King Haku. We were tag team champions of New Zealand at one point, and that was a dream come true, because as a kid growing up, Samoan kid growing up in New Zealand, Haku was one of the very few Polynesian faces on our television who was unashamedly Polynesian. Because he used to beat people up, travel the world, and then he would jump on the mic, he'll speak Tongan. Yeah. And so I used to go to school and be like, that's my uncle. And all the kids were like, you're a liar, he's Tongan, you're Samoan. But that's how I saw him. So like to actually share that achievement with him, the accolade with him, I was just like, all those kids that made fun of me, I was like, shame, shame, that's my Uncle Tonga, shame. Yeah, so that's probably like the coolest thing that ever happened to me as a pro wrestler. But funny enough, my experience as a professional wrestler and a comic book artist is what led me to Headlocked, which is an American graphic novel series based in the world of pro wrestling. And Michael Kingston, who's the writer, co-writer, I actually met at my first San Diego Comic-Con. And it's through Headlocked that I got to know a lot of wrestlers, because a lot of wrestlers are big comic fans. And because we were approaching pro wrestling from a respectful point of view, like more HBO kind of realistic take on it, they respected our respect for their craft. And when I jumped on board as an artist, they were like, this guy knows his stuff. Because when I would illustrate the wrestling moments, I would always throw in little Easter eggs, like little grips, little like lifts and stuff, like things that if you were a pro wrestler, you'd know.
Yeah.
And so to have guys like Christopher Daniels and like Frankie Kazarian and AJ Styles be like, dude, like you're the man. Like we can see all these things that you're throwing in for us workers. And like through Headlock, we've worked with Ric Flair, we've worked with Mick Foley, worked with Samoa Joe, the Young Bucks. There's like so many people, Cody Rhodes, that have come into to Headlock because of the story we tell, and they can see the respect we have for the craft. And the covers for Headlock, they're actually illustrated by WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler, who's an accomplished artist in his own right.
He's the one that illustrates.
He does the covers to the comic I do. Yeah, so
that's something that you knew every day.
Yeah,
like, what the hell? I didn't know he was an illustrator.
Yeah, so it's just all of these famous wrestlers. I'm like, man, Booker T. I did some artwork with Booker T as well. Like it's just like, man, all these wrestlers I grew up watching, I get to work with through Headlocked, and it's through our work in Headlock that WWE approached us to do some of their comic stuff. So. I got to draw like Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock and John Cena and The Miz, and then my favorite story was a Bret Hart story because I got to draw like his career. Yeah. And so I got to draw Bret, I got to draw obviously Anvil and Shawn Michaels and Davey Boy Smith and Macho Man, Jake the Snake, like Mr. Perfect. I got to draw the Mr. Perfect sharpshooter. Like I was like, I was so happy with it, and Ric Flair as well. And my friend Mike, who's US based, managed to go to a signing, and he got me a copy of my Bret Hart story signed by Bret Hart and Jimmy Hart, and they were like, "This story's dope!" Like we got to see all of approval for the story we did for them, and it's just moments like that where I can't believe that. It's
kind of like a full circle.
Yeah, like the comics and pro wrestling convergence, like for me in general, is just crazy.
Like it's weird you watching them on television and then actually working with these people. Is just,
I get to expand.
I can imagine it's surreal.
I get to expand on their mythologies like through my artwork, and it's so cool. Like it's, Same
with me. I like you're obviously more in depth into wrestling and stuff because you became a wrestler. But we used to run home and stuff, watch WCW. I used to love the Monday Night Wars that happened back then. It's like you just can't get that back again. That sort of era is like it's lost. That era is lost with us, and it's like it didn't. We never we knew it was fake, but we never looked at it as fake. We looked at it as like storytelling. It was like that's how we were passionate about it. And as artists, you made a whole comic book out of it. But me, it's like. Literally, how I started to draw back in the day was drawing Sting and Goldberg and stuff. That's what I was doing. Like I would draw them at school. People would love it, and it's like that kind of elevated my art. Yeah, and like I would love to have a full circle moment like that. But it's like I think I kind of do have the full circle moment, like with the people that I work with in the industry. Like,
well, you've worked with The Rock, right? On the Black Adam stuff.
I've worked with The Rock,
production company and stuff, and
Ryan Reynolds. I've worked with him on a few things. Jake Gyllenhaal, all those people. I was like, that's surreal. It's like you never think that you would speak to these people or talk to these people. But
exactly, that's surreal. Like you always sit there going like, wait, this is my life. Like,
this is my life.
It's kind of the imposter syndrome kind of sneaking out, right? Because you're like, I can't believe I get to do this. Like we put in the work. We know what we're doing, but like to get that kind of affirmation and the validation by working with. But
I don't know if it's with you as well. But the first couple times you're doing it, it's like you feel like for me anyway, I felt like I didn't deserve to be in that room. But after a while, after you produce hit after hit, and everyone's like, they digging your shit. Yeah. Then you start, believing in yourself. That imposter syndrome's gone. It's like, this is you. Yeah.
Like that's how I was with the Disney Animation Studios work, because funny enough, that was my first ever job in the animation industry. I'd never worked in animation before.
And you went to the highest.
The first job in animation is with Disney. So they were like, I guess the 5-week initial contract was maybe like a trial period. Yeah. Because they were like, we'll see how you go. And they said, you may not even like the work, which is fair enough. I may start and be like, this isn't my thing. So the 3rd week, I had done my storyboarded my first scene, and I had done the first pass, got a whole bunch of notes, did the second pass. And on the second pass, they're like, that was amazing, dude. All the notes we gave you, you elevated them. And so let's approve that and send it to edit. I'm like, no notes? They're like, no, it's good. No, we're good. And after, and then a couple of days later is when they extended my contract.
Yeah.
It must be the best feeling though. It's like,
and so
it is.
from
Yeah.
5 weeks to 7 months.
It's not
like
even the
that.
5 week of anything.
Yeah.
As soon as a company like Disney or Warner Brothers or anything says no notes, it's just the best feeling.
So I remember after that meeting, I was on the high because I was like, yeah, no, I deserve to be here. Like, I am good enough to be here in this position. And so that was like this weight off, the imposter syndrome weight was off my shoulders because I didn't know how I was going to be in this environment, whether I was going to be good enough. And to have that validation was like, yeah, I am good enough. And so I went, I celebrated by going to a karaoke bar and just singing karaoke songs. Like, I'm on my own. I just like, I'm hyped up. I want to sing some songs.
That's awesome.
But there's those moments, right, when you realize, I am good enough, and those moments are amazing because you realize you,
as an artist or any creator or anything you're trying to do, that realization is so important. And once you achieve it, it's like you don't know how to really achieve it. Like, if you're going for it, it actually just has to happen. And when it does happen, you literally feel lighter, and your chest is like, you can breathe again.
It's like you're walking on air, right? You're like, whoa, like, walking on sunshine.
And it boosts your creativity, your morale, your everything. Like, your work is so much better straight after that.
Yeah, exactly. It's been a crazy journey because the way I got the Disney job was I applied for the story artist job in 2021, September 2021, and I was like, I'm applying for this job, but I'm fully unqualified. But fuck it, I'm still gonna do it. So I applied, and then in November 2021, I applied for the Milestone Initiative for DC Comics, which was a program geared towards Black and minority comic creators. I'm like, that's my wheelhouse. Like, you Google Samoan comic artist, it's just me that shows up. So I was like, that's in my wheelhouse. But the program was only open to US and Canadian residents only. I went, fuck it, I'm still gonna do it. I was like, do it, and hopefully people will see your work and maybe give me notes. At least get eyes on my work. So I applied for the Master Initiative and the Disney thing a few months apart. And then in January 2022, I get an email from DC, and they're like, hey, we noticed in your application it says you're from New Zealand. We just wanted to get confirmation if that was the case. And I remember thinking, they wouldn't ask if they weren't interested, right? If my work was shit and I was from New Zealand, easy bin. So I was like, and I replied, saying, I'm from New Zealand. And they said, unfortunately, we can't, due to your geographical status, we can't proceed forward with your application. But we do like your work. So, we may keep you on the list. I'm like, okay, that's not a no. Awesome. So June comes around, and I was thinking about doing Comic-Con, but I hadn't booked anything. June comes around, I get an email from Disney. Like, hey, thank you for your application. Unfortunately, we went with another artist to fill the story artist role, but we do like your work. So if we do feel like very much the same thing as the DC, and I get that in June from Disney, I went, fuck, I need to go to San Diego next month. And luckily, I just wrapped up on working on a documentary film where I illustrated a whole bunch of shit, and they paid me really well, that I was able to cover the cost of a last minute San Diego trip. And so I booked the trip. I'm doing Disneyland, San Diego, and Evo, and I emailed Disney and DC. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be in California. If you want to meet up, I'm happy to come up to LA and whatnot. I had left the week after Comic-Con for possible meetings, and in my mind, I'm like, if they really are interested, hopefully I'll get a one-on-one meeting happening, because you understand in the digital world, face-to-face interactions means so much more now.
It is.
You know, being able to say yourself face-to-face. And so I was like, I want to try and get face-to-face meetings if they really are interested. And I got like pleasant emails back saying, that'll be cool, but nothing was booked. Nothing was scheduled. So I fly over, and I'm doing Disneyland, and I'm posting from Disneyland because all my friends back home are like, can you post from Disneyland so we can live vicariously through you? And I'm posting from Disneyland, and then one of the people I know at Disney messages me. He's like, hey, dude, are you in LA? I'm like, I'm here for Comic-Con next week. It's cool. Let me get back to you. I got a couple of people from Disney who want to meet with you. So like the second day I'm there, I have a possible Disney meeting happening. I'm just like, oh shit, my plan worked. I'm like just flying myself over there. Like, and I hadn't heard back from Disney, DC. So I was like, I'm just going to go Comic-Con and enjoy myself. I've got a Disney meeting. I didn't have to run around and share my portfolio at Comic-Con. So I enjoyed Comic-Con as a punter. Like, it was the first time I just enjoyed it. And Friday of Comic-Con, Friday evening, I get an email saying, "Hi, what's your schedule like tomorrow? We got a couple of DC Comics editors that want to meet with you." I was like, okay, whatever your schedule is my schedule. And I ended up meeting with the Batman editor and the All Ages editor, and they loved my stuff. And I was like, oh shit, like this is crazy. Again, the affirmation that like I'm good enough.
Yeah.
And when I talked to the talent relations manager who facilitated these meetings, like she was so lovely and amazing. I was like, she goes, when you sent me your artwork, when you emailed me, I remember it because she goes, I remember your work because it got flagged. She goes, it got flagged by the Cubit Art School because they wanted DC to make an exception for me, to fly me from New Zealand to LA for the program. But DC didn't have the the travel budget for it. So she said, I couldn't make something happen for you then. I wanted to make sure I made something happen for you now.
When you're there on your own merits.
Yeah, when I'm there on my own merits. So it was just like, and so I was like, that was crazy. Like the gamble I took paid off. So after Comic-Con, I get an email, like during Comic-Con, I get an email say, "Hey, Disney meeting Tuesday, midday at this restaurant." I'm like, okay, cool. Go up on Monday, 24 hours, just chill, don't rush into the meeting. So I'm on the 4 a.m. Monday train back up to LA, and I rock up to the Disney meeting. We sit down, we explaining pleasantries and stuff. And here I am thinking it's a Comic-Con meeting, like, hey, just networking.
Yeah.
So I sit down and they're like, hey, do you know what this meeting's about? I'm like, not particularly. Like, we're hanging out. And they say, well, we've been wanting to work with you since the beginning of this project. In fact, one of your books has been in our writer's room since day one. And Disney have always said no because you don't have experience in the animation industry. And I was like, fair enough. And so they're like, yeah, so how would you like to work with us? I'm like, oh shit, you're offering me a job. and they were just like,
that must have put you on the spot. It's like, what job do I want now?
Yeah, I was just like, of course. Like in my mind, it's like, okay, this is not my wheelhouse, but this is a creative challenge.
Yeah,
and it's like, I should be able to grow from this. Like this will be, I'll be able to have all of those new skills and stuff. And they said to me that me showing up in LA forced their hand. They were like, he's here now. We need to get him while he's in town. And that's how I got the job, just showing up.
That's awesome, man. See, that's a good lesson for people that are watching. You show up.
Yeah.
You even apply when you're not
supposed to.
You're not supposed to. You're not from the country, and you don't have the experience, but you still apply yourself.
Yeah.
And you believe in yourself, like he did, and look at where we are now. It's like you got the job, you got the experience.
Yeah. They wanted me to work straight away. They were like, hey, can you start work on August 8th? I'm like, that's the day I leave the States. They're like, okay, so the following week is when I started. So essentially, I get home, I'm straight into it, and I had been working.
And you worked from New Zealand, right?
Yeah, I worked from New Zealand.
I thought they flew you back. I'm like,
no.
But that's awesome. That's an amazing story, and it's cool because like Disney's no easy door to get into, and the fact that they were like headhunting you all this time and you didn't know about it, that's
it's crazy because like I've throughout my whole career I've always managed to find my own way into spaces. And
I feel like when you find your own way, it's like you're more comfortable, because if someone, like, there's a lot of people that like help you get indoors, and when that happens, it's like you're never comfortable. It's like you're not the one that got there.
And it's interesting because like being in the Disney space, I was like, can you make a difference? Like, this is a big company and there's so many people in this. Like, can you make a difference? Can you make an impact? And somehow I kind of did. Like, when I was having my farewell kind of meetings and stuff, people were like, you were part of this team before you were even part of this team. Your name was always in the discussion about who to work with. And they were like, and my cultural mind and stuff like they were like, you elevated so many story things through your cultural knowledge that you've changed the way we think about how we do story. And that's why they were like, we really like your energy and stuff. And I know you're wrapping up as a story artist, but we were thinking we could keep you on board as a cultural consultant. So I did something right, that they wanted to find another way to keep me on board.
That's exactly right.
And that just leaves like the door open for transitioning into other things, other story boards that they need you on, other storytelling that they need you on, even go further. It's like, it's good to have New Zealand, not New Zealand, Disney love to have like their hands like around the world, and to have you as a talent from that side of the world means a lot to them. So they would want to keep you.
Yeah. So
it would be dumb for me, like not to keep you. I'm just.
It goes to show as well, like taking a risk. Like you just took that risk, traveled there, hoped for the best, and it worked out. It paid off as well for you. Your 4 months as well. And
because like for me, I had to be proactive in this career, because there's no kind of like, pathway, like defined pathway. Like, this is how you succeed in this arena.
Yeah.
You kind of make your own way, and in doing so, you have to be proactive. You have to be constantly taking risks. And when you constantly take risks, you get your risk assessment skills are sharpened, and so you understand the value of taking risks. And I often tell young aspiring artists, it's like, you have to take risks. You can never be, you will never be risk adverse, because there's going to be a point in time where you do have to take risk. And so if you take risks constantly, I think of it like rungs on the ladder. So each time you take a risk, you get another rung towards what you're reaching, the goal you're reaching towards. But if you don't take those risks, the gap between rungs is even greater. And so it's a lot more difficult to climb to where you would need to be. And so just constant, for me, I'm like, there's success in, there's progress and success and failure. So taking risks, I'm like, cool, I'm just going to do it. Because if I succeed, it's 3 steps forward. If I fail, it's 1 step forward, because I'm at least somewhere. Somewhere forward, because you learn from the experience. And so it's just like, I just do it, and that's how I've operated. And one of the things I've kind of identified is that when people they have to take a chance, have to take a risk, they ask themselves, what's the worst that could happen, right? I realized my mindset was, what's the best that could happen? And just approaching things in that way meant they're like, cool, let's just do it.
That's the perfect way to think about it, because what's the best that could happen kind of nullifies the worst that could happen, because the worst that could happen is like you're where you're at. It's like, okay, you didn't get the job, you didn't get where you wanted to be, but this is where you were. But your options are not closed off. You can still get these jobs and still take these risks. That's the cool thing about risks. You can keep taking them. Until one works out. It's like there's no lifelines and stuff. Just keep taking those risks. Like, even if you keep getting hit, even if you keep getting turned down. Like, I love those inspirational stories when you hear those authors and all those directors that like have their first 20, 30 rejection letters. It's like, that's all it is. We have to get rejected. Imagine being successful on your first try is an amazing feeling. But it leaves you open to the fact that you don't know how to, you don't know what failure is. And if you don't know that, the first hiccup you get, everything could crumble. And if it crumbles while you made it, that's much worse. Because you want the skill of damage control. You want the skill of creative fixing, creative thought, being able to, literally, I've seen people fix a huge situation just by going in a room and thinking about it. Like thinking about what to do. And if you don't have failure behind you, you don't have the roots and the branches to look back on, okay, this is what happened then, this is what happened then. So a lot of people hate it, but it's like failure is more than necessary. Failures are just another opportunity to learn. Right? Exactly.
And like people are like, man, you're so successful, because I'm a success because I'm an absolute failure. Like, the road to success is paved with failures. It's that whole iceberg thing, right? Where the people see the tip, but they don't see all the shit that didn't work out to get you to that point.
The same people that are saying that I wish I was you were the same people that would say I don't envy you 5 years back when they saw you in the struggles, when they saw you not making money, when they saw you getting sick, like not sleeping, working. They're like, man, I don't envy you, man. How do you keep doing this? Then 5 years later, when you're successful, it's like, man, I wish I was you. You can be patient.
Put in the work.
And I really hate saying this, and I say it on every podcast. When I talk to someone, I say patience and repetition and consistency. People don't like those words. It's like, it's such bread and butter, but it's legit the facts. It's kind of like when they talk about diets or something. It's like diet and exercise. It's like no one wants to hear that stuff. It's like the bread and butter basics. People don't want to say it, but it applies.
Yeah.
Like without consistency, you're not gonna learn or gain that muscle memory.
Yeah.
It's like that's what it comes down to.
It's the reps, right?
That's repetition.
It's all the reps.
All your shitty works, like my shitty works for for 10 years, were repetitions to get to my good works.
Yes.
And that's what that's what these clients are looking for. This is what these clients are paying for now. Literally, just be consistent. And if you're like us and you love what we do, it's like our bad days are still our good days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, obviously young aspiring artists like, oh, how can I get better at drawing? I'm like, just like everything else in this world, you just got to keep doing it. Like, it's like, and I always see everything as practice.
Yeah.
And I often tell the kids too that I visit in Aotearoa, I'm like, guess what? As an artist, I hate everything I draw. And they're like, what? Because everything is practice. All the stuff I've done before, like there are pieces I'm proud of because of the accomplishments.
Yeah.
But I look at it and I'm like, that's old me. I'm much better now.
Yeah.
And so I concentrate on what is on my plate now because I'm a much better artist than I was then. So I see it and I'm like, yeah, all that stuff can be improved on, but I don't need to improve those because I just concentrate on the project at hand. Yeah. That's what matters the most. You now as an artist is what matters most. And
there was a saying about, like, even right now, I'm pretty sure like you do something dope and you still hate it.
Yeah.
But when you get like people saying it's dope,
Yeah.
your mind changes, is because perfection is perception. It's
Yeah.
like someone will like look at it and say it's perfect, and they say it's perfect enough, you start seeing that it's like, hey man, it's dope work.
Yeah.
And that's how I am. It's like everything I work, every project I do, I look at it and I'm like, I gotta be better on the next one because that is not like my standard. And it's like we're always chasing a standard.
Yeah.
It's like I need to be better than this piece. I need to be better than my last year.
It makes you, it drives you to do better though.
It's the artist's conundrum,
exactly.
where you're constantly striving for that perfect image,
Yeah.
knowing that you won't get there, but it never stops you from trying to get there. Like,
and you keep practicing.
Yeah.
You keep
because if you do draw that holy grail picture of yours, if you do draw your Mona Lisa, what's the point anymore?
Yeah,
as soon as I do that, it's like, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I thought. It's like once you create that perfect image, where to from there?
Yeah,
exactly.
So like you might as well just pack it up and not draw anymore. And, and it's, I guess it's a bit of masochistic tendencies as an artist where you're just constantly torturing yourself trying to be better and stuff. But that's how it is. And it's that grinding and the effort. It's always about little self-improvements. Each piece is just another piece of your self-improvement. Yeah. Because you're constantly identifying. And again, another tip for aspiring artists is finish your shit, because you learn so much by finishing stuff that you're able to grow from that. Because I see so many young artists who have half-finished shit and they're like, oh, I'm stuck, I don't progress. It's like, because you're not completing it. Yeah. They're stuck in that creative purgatory or like that Schrodinger's cat where it's like, it could be perfect, but I don't want to ruin it. Like,
that's what it is. That's what it is.
And once they finish it, you learn so much and you grow so much as an artist, because then you can look at what you've completed and go,
it doesn't matter if it's bad as well. Yeah. It's like, just finish it.
Yeah, just finish it. Yeah.
I've seen so many people, like you said, they get to that point, it's like, it looks amazing, but if I draw one more line, it's going to destroy it. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Just finish your piece and put it to the side, because trust me, next year, you're not even going to look at that piece. Yeah. You don't care about it.
Kill your babies, as they say.
Like just keep going. Like, keep going. Yeah. Like me, I keep telling people, and people think I'm lying. I have a folder on my computer of stuff I created from 2007. Those folders contain around 30 to 40,000 works. That's how much pieces I've done since then. Like, I kept making shit. Yeah. Sure, they started off crap and stuff, but it's like, practice. And now this year, I've only made like 15 pieces, like 8 pieces, 10 pieces completed.
But those 15, 18 pieces wouldn't be as good as they were without the 30, 40,000 shit ones that you did, right?
These pieces now take way longer, way more detailed, and I see all the errors. I see the errors everywhere because of the past stuff. Yeah. I can see where the lighting issues. I can see where something doesn't work, and I know how to bounce lighting way better now than I knew how to bounce lighting all those years ago. And that's what the practice is for. And there's people, like, there's stuff that I'll be ashamed to show them because, like, I'm embarrassed of them. But it's not embarrassed to show them, but it's like I'm embarrassed of them because
where you came from,
like, my lighting and stuff just didn't make sense. But you need those F-ups to get to this point. And I like what you said, that they need to finish. And it's like, because that's the case. I'll ask many people in the chat, in the comments, how many files do you have that are just unfinished? And people will say plenty because they're too scared to finish it, or it's not good enough to post online. And people online will be very cruel if they see it. This is the predicament that we're in now.
So that's definitely what, because I can draw fairly quick. And then people are like, man, you draw so fast. Because what took me 2 minutes here wouldn't be as quick if it wasn't for the 20 years I've been doing this. Like it's it's that muscle memory, the habits you build through discipline and practice and grinding, right, on the skill that you have, on the passions you have. And I'm very much fueled by passion. People are like, comics, wrestling, video games, like, how do you do it? And I was like, I love this shit. I might as well give it a go. Like, what's the best that can happen, right? And then I end up being pretty good at all of them. But it was just I just did it because I'm being so fueled by passion. I was like, I owe it to myself to try and do the shit I love and see where it goes. And part of me knowing that it may not work out, that's just a possible result of doing something, but they seem to have worked out. And so, like, now I'm just like, cool. Then that whole risk assessment thing, it's like, cool, I did all this shit, it works out, let's keep going. See
what else we could do. These are just bonus points now.
And then
side quests.
Like pro wrestling, right? Like, we call it taking bumps. Right? And you take your bump and you get back up. Like, it's what we call bump and feed. Bump, get back up. Bump, get back up. Like, you'll always be taking bumps through this journey that you find yourself on. But what's important is you keep getting up. Rocky, like, speaking about Philly cheesesteaks, right? Rocky, it's not about how many times you get knocked down. It's about how many times you get back up, right? So,
and that's a cool thing. It's like, if people here watching, if you go look at some of your favorite celebrities, not all of them obviously, but some of your best success stories, they all started off like this. They all had an effed up to start. They didn't have it well. They were failing. They wanted to quit. But the main key with all of them is the persistence. And the main key with all of them is, like, the repetition and not giving up. And I know it's again, bread and butter side story, like not giving up, but that's literally all it takes. It's like that risk you take is like, sure, it's the word risk sounds scary, but it's like, it's necessary, because without the denials and the rejections and stuff, sure, I'm not good enough now, but I'll get there. That's the point. That's what we're trying to get. And that's what a lot of people, they want that within a year. They want that within 2 years. They want it because this world is so fast paced now. It's like, oh, how can I be successful in 12 months? It's like, God willing, you can, and I wish you can, and I hope it works out for you.
You got to put in the work.
Don't put that timing. Don't give us, like, we as artists hate deadlines. Why the we were putting deadlines on our success? It's like, why get a deadline? Just fucking work it.
It's like because I'm a fairly lackadaisical guy, so I just roll with the punches, just ride the wave. Like, I don't put too much stock in future plans because I like to live in the moment. And that allows me, because, like, I know that for a lot of artists, again, they build anxiety through creating possible outcomes for what they're doing. So they're like, if I do this, this would happen. And then when that doesn't happen, they're like, no, that's not what we planned. I'm just like, no, I'm just living the moment. Let's just see where this goes. Like, very much like the Disney thing. I'm just like, okay, let's see what happens. And they're like, what do you reckon? I'm like, yeah, cool. Let's ride this wave. And then just take it as it comes. And so,
because you had a plan A, that was your plan A. But these people that you're talking about literally have plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's like they have an outcome for everything. And then when something doesn't work out, it's like they literally change careers. completely.
Yeah, but yeah, the thing is, like, my plan A isn't like this massive kind of map. It's like plan A is like here, and then once something happens here, then I can plan off that rather than So it's not like creating this future plan.
It's like literally, it's like a video game. Stages. You go on to next levels. Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Yeah, and like it's funny when it comes to like my personal mantra for success is do the work and don't be a dick. That's it. That's all you need.
That's a perfect thing, man. Do you know how many dicks there are in this world?
Exactly. I was like, how many motherfuckers don't even take that second part into consideration? And you're like, you just do the work and treat people well. That's all you need to be successful.
That is so important. That is so important. Treating people well. It's like I try my best to be humble and be nice to everyone else, because I want them to be like that to me.
Yeah.
And if I'm new in the industry, and even if I'm old in the industry, I just want to be like, I just want to be friends, like be good to people. And you come to the realization that that's not a thing.
Yeah, it's
like it's the minority that's nice to you.
Yeah.
And not wanting to, like, I'm pretty sure you ran into a whole bunch of people that are like just like you because they can get somewhere. You're a foundation.
Yeah.
You're a leverage. And I've been through that through my whole career, man. It's like I'm often used as stairs. I'm often used as like to get to the next level or anything, or get through a door.
Yeah.
And you realize that a lot with people. And I'm not blaming LA, but a majority of it was in LA.
Yeah.
But it's like, it makes you kind of like, it brings back that, what's called that doubt in yourself, that imposter syndrome. It's like, am I good, or am I just like, am I just popular enough to get into these rooms? It's like, and that's why last year I took a step back and focused on me, and I want to be like me. Yeah. And when I come across people online and like they're struggling or anything, legitimately talk to them.
Yeah.
Legitimately not be a dick.
Yeah.
But it's like, I just don't understand like this mentality that people have, some of them, the ones you're talking about. It's like, how did we get here? Like, how are you this?
Yeah.
That's what doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I think it's maybe a cultural thing, because like we're very family oriented. Yeah. Like we have a village, right?
Yeah.
And when you grow up in like that kind of tribal culture, you're not in it alone.
Yeah.
You help bring everyone else up. You know that it takes a lot of you to get stuff done. Yeah. And that's how I operate. And so like that's where the whole don't be a dick thing comes from. Because even like in pro wrestling, you have a whole bunch of people who volunteer their time and never step in that ring. And you have a bunch of people who step in that ring and think they're the shit because they get all the adulation and all the crowding. And I try to make a point of it to thank the people who are at the concession stand, who do the AV, the referees and stuff, because I understand that without them,
it doesn't
the
work.
wrestlers don't get their time under the spotlight.
Yeah, of course,
But a lot of wrestlers would just kind of ignore them and think that they're better than them. It's like, dude, don't be a dick, and it's really crazy to think, like, even at Supernova this past weekend, I made sure to go out and thank the volunteers that helped me through the weekend, because again, it's like without those volunteers, without those helpers, like the show would be in absolute chaos kind of thing, and it may not be a lot, but it's like the least you can do is acknowledge people's help.
That's literally my mentality with like movies as well. Like when I see people do movie reviews, like a lot of people ask me, why are all my movie reviews good movies that you like? I just say they're good movies that I watch. I never post about a bad movie. Like, even if there's a movie that's bad and I don't like it, people want me to just shit on it, like slaughter it. It's like, why this, why that? As an artist, I think of the VFX artists, I think of the mic holders, I think of the crew, everyone that worked on the movie. There's hundreds, even thousands of people working on those movies, and everyone that's especially because of my following, if I give a bad review in that, I'm shitting on all these people's works and everything they did. And I'm pretty sure the studio's already giving them a headache and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. This is why I don't want to be a dick to that. It's like, fine, the movie got a bad review, fine, let it go.
Yeah.
But the fact that everyone seeks that ignorance and negativity on something, that dick move, that's something still I don't understand. And when they apply it even off a movie, and to people like Supernova staff or staff at a place, and it's like you don't look at them because, hey, I'm the popular one, I'm the talent.
Yeah,
it's like I hate that mentality.
Yeah, it's really like, and one of the things that annoys me as well is people at food courts who just leave a massive mess, and like in this, it's not my job to clean up.
Yeah,
it's like, but a decent person will at least help make it a little bit easier for these people.
We can never do it. Every time we go to a place, we take after.
Yeah, it was like you like if there's no like rubbish around in the way that comes to pick it up, you like organize it so it's easier for them to carry and stuff. Like it's just so weird when you look and people just kind of leave this massive mess and just get up and walk. And like, come on, guys, I was
gonna say it's so funny that you mentioned that, because that was our experience, especially in the States. Like, I would clean up after my mess. Yeah. And everyone, my friends, are like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? You're embarrassing us.
Why are you cleaning? I'm like, I don't care if they're getting paid for it. It's like common decency.
Yeah.
Be kind. That person could be going for a rough day. Everyone leaves their mess for him. The least you can do is clean up.
Yeah, exactly. And
I always feel bad. Like, I used to work in hospitality. I used to work in Burger King, and I used to work in H&M.
I used to work in Burger King too. So you know exactly how shitty people can be. So you don't want to be the shitty person, right?
It's like that's what I think. I think everyone in the world needs to work hospitality, because then you understand what they go through. Because when you go to a restaurant and eat at a fast food restaurant and you treat the person like shit, know what they're going through. They have to deal with this shit every day. Yeah. And it's like, I've seen people, like with me, I've even got this guy, it's like at Burger King, he wanted 98 pickles. For some friggin' reason, he wanted 98 pickles. I don't think it was right anyway. We made the 98 pickles, and there was like 97 pickles, and he literally came to the counter and threw it at the back, and everyone we had to clean it up because we got one pickle wrong. It's like, I don't know why how do you feel it's acceptable to treat, a hospitality worker? And everyone knows that rule. You never mess with hospitality workers because they're the ones handling your food. Yeah. So what you're eating, you're going to eat like something not edible.
Saliva.
Yeah,
so it's disrespectful, honestly.
But
they're hard workers too, man.
I used to help out with, it used to be called HMS Host in the airport.
Oh, okay.
So Burger King used to have something called HMS Host, which was the food court. So sometimes I would help the food court, and you're picking up the food off the table, and it's like, because it's an airport, it's got people from America and all that sort of stuff, you can kind of tell who's on which table, because there's certain tables that it's like they literally have sauce on the table, like it was like splattered or some shit, and it's like you couldn't even like just wipe that up a bit, just help us out a little. There's people that have like their drinks spilled on the thing, and they just left.
Disrespectful, man.
And it's like that's what it's saying. Like you saying, clean up the table. That's what we do. It's like it's the little things.
Yeah, it doesn't take much effort, especially if you created a massive mess. Yeah, the least you can do is like tidy it up a bit. Like. You can't just it's like movie theaters as well. Like when you see people just like,
leave their pop.
What the hell did they do? Did they have like a popcorn confetti party or something?
Some people, I don't even know how. Like, how did you get that mess? Yeah, how did you do it?
And I'm just like, oh man, I feel sorry for these theater workers because it's an interesting time in an interesting world where people don't think
just people need to work into that field, honestly, to understand.
Yeah, they have to work in that field. Just recently, we were at the cinema.
Yeah,
and we were like waiting for the end credit because there was after credit, and we cleaned up our drink and popcorn. And as we were walking out, we just said thank you to there was a girl waiting there to clean up. We said thank you, and she was like struck, as in like, oh shit, no one ever thanks me. I was like, how bad do you feel that saying thank you to someone is like a thing that doesn't happen?
It's weird because same with me. Like if I'm in the theater and I'm staying for the credits, and then the workers kind of waiting for us to leave to clean up, I'll put my stuff in the rubbish and take you, have a good night, kind of thing, and just it's just like, again, common courtesy, right? It's
sad.
It's sad that the little things in life are like looked over, like not even.
And then nowadays, when you see like good behavior, it's all recorded for like social media.
Look
at me helping this homeless person.
Oh, this homeless person! I'm gonna give him a sandwich.
Yeah,
cool.
You shouldn't be like.
I mean,
it's a nice to do.
I'm not taking away from it. Yeah. It's a good deed.
Yeah,
but if you're not doing it for that person, is like, and you're doing it for socials, I personally
I find that hard.
Yeah, the only thing it should be only for fundraising or something like that, charity, then that's when it'd be like, okay,
if they're like,
that's fine.
If they're doing it to, you know, kind of like shine a light to someone else to help this person or to help this people.
Yeah.
Yes, tell them the address where to find these people, like where to, you know. Yeah.
GoFundMe.
That's how you help. It's like, but to like get a sandwich, it's like I you know, I did this because I'm humble.
That's
the
least humble people.
I'm a good guy.
Give
me clout.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, because I think recently I watched a video about this topic, and it kind of changed my mindset of it. Is it not better off that people are doing that, because at least they are helping that person, and at least one person watching it could motivate them to go help?
No. That's what I like about it. That's what I've always said, that it's a good thing they are doing it.
The video is a good thing. The person behind it.
But here's the thing.
Isn't.
Here's the thing. Would that person keep doing it if he didn't get reach? Like, imagine he did it 12 times and he didn't get reach those 12 times.
He'll stop.
Would he do it anymore?
He wouldn't stop. He would
probably not. But
exactly.
I'm saying like I understand that point. But at the very least, even though he is doing it, even if it's the wrong reasons, that person receiving the help, it's a good deed at the end of the day.
The video itself is a good thing.
But I also heard the different side of that subject. Someone said, are you exploiting the homeless person for clout though? Like, sure, you're giving him a sandwich, sure, you're giving him money, but it's like, it's him being that's getting you views.
And how do we know that's not staged as well? They could be staged.
We're talking about in terms of assuming it's not staged.
Yeah. Assuming
it's not staged. Like, I think a lot of people do exploit the homeless these days, and it's really sad to see.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess my mindset is at least someone's getting into help.
I did see one where I think it's staged, but he bought the dude a house. Like the homeless person, he got him a place to stay. It was not the best house, but it's still a roof on top of it. Yeah. Now, if that was real, that's dope, because that is actually changing someone's life and stuff. But
it's a weird
thing to have. But it's like the virtual signaling thing nowadays, the social experiments. I think a lot of them are getting out of hand. Like, so it's just the craziest thing. Like there's a recent one where it's okay, but it's like a guy was like had a fear of escalators. Yeah. And it's like his social experiment to see what humans will do if he's scared. One guy helped him down and one guy held him up and so I understand that, but it's kind of like,
what about that person?
It's like
that's helping you. Like, how are they feeling in that moment?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like you're putting people. It's like, I know you're trying to prove humanity is good and stuff, but it's like not everyone wants to be on a social experiment or be a social experiment.
Yeah, I think intention's a big thing. Yeah, the motivation behind what they're doing is,
and you never know what it is. Like anyone can say whatever, but it's like, and this is why it's a touchy subject, because sure, it's like you can see where the right stuff is and the bad stuff is in all situations, but it's like you're not here to say that they're doing bad stuff, because obviously it's good. You're helping out a homeless person, you're helping out a person in need, but it being a social experiment, it's like the main objective for it is like literally views and clicks, and isn't that what a social experiment is? And that's what you're saying. It's the intent. Yeah. What it's for.
Yeah, like for me, like social media, people on social media who follow me on social media only know what I want them to know. I keep my private life fairly private, and I barely post artwork on it because I don't need to post art for likes and clout and stuff. Like I get paid for this shit, right? Yeah. So like I'm not trying to get likes, and so I'll barely post artwork. Yeah. Unless and a lot of times the artwork I am working on, I can't even share anyway. So
on the NDAs.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of times I just kind of use my platform on social media to bring to light social issues that mean a lot to me. Yeah. All those kind of things, like causes I believe in, and that seems to go well as well. But like I don't need to post artwork, because clout isn't what I'm there for. So it's interesting because again, social media has made and the internet has made it so much easier for your artwork to be seen by so many people, but then at the same time, everyone else is doing it. Yeah. So like it's just a whole bunch of noise, and then everyone's trying to climb above each other in the algorithm, and try and get more reach.
It shouldn't be like that. It's not. It shouldn't be competitive.
Right now, AI is like besting all of us, so it doesn't really matter. True. It's like you can post your artwork up. It's like AI is just like the one that's trending.
Yeah, and so it's just an interesting point of view because I grew up, you know, I'm old enough that I grew up analog, and then digital kind of came in as I got as I finished high school and stuff, and so I get the best of both worlds. And now like we got generations of people who just grew up digital, and it's like a totally different, you know, landscape of like how they navigate the world and how much digital informs their world. And that's where you get like the cyberbullying and stuff, because for them the digital is their world. And with the digital, like you can't turn it off. You know, being analog is like bullying stopped in the schoolyard. Now these bullies can get you in your home through your devices, through the internet, and so their lives are entirely digital, and they just can't seem to escape it, and it just is creating. It'll be interesting to see how the world is in another 10, 20 years. What like, you know, just to
I
see.
mentioned AI before. They're the ones going to be bullying us. Like AI, Twitter's is going to be like the ones bullying us.
The kind of world that the digital landscape has kind of will be creating. And so it's really interesting, you know, and that's why I kind of look at the social media stuff with a bit of caution too, because like again,
it's a scary place sometimes as well.
You know, keep things private, like keep things that matter the most to you private, because people don't need to know your business.
That's true.
Say that to the internet. They put everything on the internet. Everything. You were speaking about you live in the now. Like you're the type of person that lives in the now, but that kind of hinders my question of like, where do you want to be like in the future? What do you want? Is there a milestone, or I know you've got to your goals and you elevated your goals, but is there something that you've always wanted to do that you haven't touched upon yet? So
like obviously, you know, there are accomplishments I'd like to check off the list. I'd love to be able to do a comic story for Marvel or DC, you know, just one of the big two. And I don't know, maybe sometime in the future, I've always kind of mused about the fact that maybe I could create an art studio for Tangata Moana Pacific illustrators to kind of have a space to work in, because as I said, like you Google Samoan comic artist, it's just me, and there's not a hell of a lot of Pacific illustrators working at that professional level that I am. And so it's like, okay, maybe my role is like, and my responsibility as an artist who's kind of in the space often by myself, is to foster and create an environment for young brown artists to be able to create and be in that and level up and stuff. So
that would be awesome. You being the beacon like that they need.
And it's funny too, because I often tell people, like, when I took this journey of becoming an artist, a professional artist, you know, I didn't have anyone to look up to like follow. Right. Be like, that's what they did. I can kind of do it that way. And through just doing what I do, I realized I ended up with the responsibility of being that person for others. And it wasn't something I signed up for. But now that I realize that's where I'm at, like I often, again, community is huge for me. I understand that that's my responsibility, and I need to kind of represent and help uphold young brown artists coming up, to let them know it's possible. And that's why I do a lot of schools. I've done like
I saw you had pictures with the school kids also.
I've talked to like about over 30,000 kids all around the country in New Zealand, and pretty much when I get back home, I'm like, that weekend I'm at the bottom of the South Island in Invercargill talking to kids, doing workshops with kids. Then I'm flying from Invercargill to Wellington and doing a whole week of school visits, because for me, again, community is huge.
And they're life-changing, those
experiences. You guys are a lot of Samoan people that I know are like community and family is like huge, and I love to see it, because that's what we're all about. Sadly, we don't have it as much here.
I know,
But it's like in Syria we do have it, but it's like in Australia, the community here is like, it's good, but it's like, I wish it was like at the standard of you guys. It's like, you don't let one person fall. You pick them up, you help them out. And I love that, and I love seeing that, and it needs to be more prominent.
So I share my story with the kids, and it's very much like, they don't need to do what I do, But those kids who have the weird, wonderful, different dreams that people are like, that's not, that's not normal. It's like, I'm showing them that it is possible.
Yeah.
Because like a Samoan comic book artist, professional wrestler, gamer, animation, story artist kind of thing, like Samoan one, like a lot of people are like, is that a thing?
Yeah.
And I just made it a thing. And so I want to show the kids what's possible, that the impossible dream is possible.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's why I do all of that stuff, because, yeah, for me, it's like, what's the point of being successful if you can't help
other people? You want to
you
bring them up with you. Yeah.
Yeah, if you can't help your community, then what's the point?
Yeah.
And then that's when the individualism comes in, which is a very Balangi, white, capitalist kind of notion of like me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
And like being with you guys and being in the space, I understand you guys are very kind of family oriented.
Yeah,
Again, the cultural thing where we grow up with intergenerational households.
Yeah.
My grandparents looked after me as a kid, kind of thing, and like. And like cousins on cousins and why the family's like we're a massive unit rather than existing in the bubble. And so for me it's like, okay, I know I exist in the bubble in this industry, but I don't exist in the bubble in my community.
Yeah, of course.
So that's why I do that stuff.
That's awesome.
From an outside perspective, I think you and Kurt are very alike in that whole mindset of you wanting to bring people up with you.
Yeah.
And you feel like that's a responsibility that you've taken on. But from an outsider perspective, I was kind of curious, does that pressure ever get to you at all? Or is it all love? Like does it ever get a bit heavy where you're like, if I don't keep helping people, I guess it's like you're failing at like that.
Do you ever feel like you're failing your community if you don't?
And that goes to you, Kurt, as well, because you guys are both very alike in that.
I don't feel like I fail in that respect. I just because I'm just always doing something, and then people also understand that I'm also busy, so I can't do everything.
Yeah, of course.
And I don't try to do everything, but if there's something I can do within my power, and like even recently, I've been doing stuff, just dropping in and helping community. So I'll be seeing in Auckland like some amazing Pacific creatives doing some cool stuff, amazing kaupapa, as they say in Māori. And I'll just be like, cool, I'm just gonna drop in and check it out. And then they were like, oh, hey, thanks for coming along. I'm like, yeah, you guys are doing cool stuff. And just me showing up, like I'm supporting your stuff.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they would be drawing, and I'd be like, okay, I'll sit down and draw with you guys. And then there'll be some little kids around, and be like, hey kids, who's your favorite character? They're like, Venom. Okay, cool. So I draw them Venom, give it to them, and like I don't get paid for that, and I don't need to get paid for that. Like literally the Thursday before I flew out to Melbourne, I did a free comic workshop just because it was community. I was like, I will always find a way to do community. I won't be able to do everything, but I know that I do it myself.
So the fact that you're there,
yeah,
it's like even with my answer, it's being there in that moment. So if someone needs help and you can help, you help. If there's someone that needs advice and you can give advice, you do it. And that's why I won't feel bad and ever feel like I've failed someone unless I've legit turned my back on that person and I can help them and I didn't. That's when I'll do it. And I don't think I'll ever do that.
I don't feel any kind of pressure on that respect. But as you said, Code, very much if you can help, and often there are times I can't because I just don't have the time or the capacity at the time. Yeah. But I don't go, oh no, I can't do it.
I still point them in the right direction.
Just
even if they needed help like with a certain thing and I know a certain someone, I would put them in touch with each other.
Exactly.
I'll always do that. I would never leave. It's like, I'm sorry, I can't do anything. I can't do that. I feel bad doing that. Yeah.
So you just do what you can.
Yeah.
You just do the best you can. That's all that you can hope for. And if that's what you do, you shouldn't feel like you're a failure.
Of course.
It's cool that you do workshop and you give out free images. Like I know a lot of artists that would not give out free sketches.
Yeah.
Because their sketches are their currency.
Because a few years ago I took part in Secret Wars. Do you know Secret Wars? Where it's
Secret Wars,
So they did one in Aotearoa, and I took part in it because I was like, this looks like fun. This isn't what I do. Yeah. I'm not a muralist. I don't spray or anything. This looks like a fun challenge. So I signed up, and I was kind of like the unknown guy because all the other guys that had signed up were like graph artists, well-known graph artists. So here's this dude who no one had heard of in their circles from comics. I made it to the grand final, but the first battle I had, my opponent was drawing, and I finished my work in like 45 minutes instead of the full 90.
Yeah.
But because I was so used to like my comic work, I also understood there's no point overdrawing, because if you overdraw, you ruin it.
Yeah.
So for the next 45 minutes, I ended up grabbing pieces of paper and doing sketches for the crowd. And they were cracking up. Like, while my opponent's like still working, I'm like, hey, who do you want me to draw? Okay, Batman, cool, bang, bang, bang. Here's Batman. Oh, what job? And like, but also using my pro wrestling experience to kind of work the crowd. Yeah. And so I smashed them in that thing. But it was like, that stuff was just fun. Like, I enjoy kind of just, especially for little kids. Yeah. You know, I'd just be like, hey, you know, here's, hey, you know, you like drawing? Because, oh, cool. And just also showing those kids who like drawing, like, where they can find themselves. Yeah. You know, and
it's crazy how all those things you do intertwine in different fields as well.
Yeah, that's how it, like, you know,
like entertaining the crowd with the wrestling, playing the games that inspires you to wrestle, the creativity inspires you to do, like, be your unique own character in Tekken. It's cool how they all merge in one way or another.
It's funny too, because they all have their unique elements.
Yeah, exactly.
That can work in different arenas. And with the working of the crowd, because I noticed through some of those secret walls, people they were just drawing.
Yeah.
And then I was like, crowd is sitting there for 90 minutes just watching people draw. Yeah. Like, that gets real boring real quick if you don't perk up the crowd. Yeah. And as a pro wrestler, I was like, you got to work the crowd. You got to give them spikes of energy so they can last the entire time.
Yeah.
And so that's how I did it. But in saying that, again, and some more advice I give to creatives is, like, if people want to draw comics, I tell them, don't look to comics for inspiration. Use other forms of media. I watch tons of TV, film, cartoons, video games and stuff. Like, I'm taking in all these different visual mediums which help inform my comics. Because if you look at a medium for that medium's inspiration, you end up cannibalizing it. And so what you're doing is what's been done before. Yeah. You've got to look outside your chosen medium for inspiration, and you'll find that you're able to bring elements of, like, pro wrestling into comics that, like, really changes what you can do in that art form. And, like, you know, bring parts of video games and stuff like that. Like, when I was working in Disney, the story artist, I was throwing in so much stuff I had kind of been inspired by. Yeah. Like, I threw in a Wayne's World gag in it, because I was like, this feels like a Wayne's World gag would fit here, and like all kinds of crazy stuff, like, from video games. I even threw in like a Last of Us kind of thing, and
I do that a lot. Like, people, when they ask me for what inspires me, it's never what you think it is. It's like music. I like literally like going out. Photography inspires me a lot in my field. Like, stuff that's like movies, watching movies, random movies. That's what inspires me. Like that. It's like, people think it's like you have to be in art, diving into artworks and, you know, looking at the Renaissance stuff and all that sort of stuff. No.
Yes. Like, for me, like, I've realized, you know, even though I like to say, I always say I'm a comic artist, because that's what I dreamt about as a kid. Yeah. That was my dream job. I'm a comic artist. So I love to call myself a comic artist, but I've realized through all the things I do, I'm more of a storyteller. I just use different mediums to tell a story. And so for me, I'm always seeking stories through music, through books, through television. And again, all of these media, and once you get a better command of story in all of its forms, you're able to manipulate it for your chosen form and really create something unique and different. And people are like, man, we never heard or seen like that approach that way. And it's because we didn't look at what was done before. We looked at outside. Yeah. To bring in those elements.
I mean, it's the stuff that inspired us that became artists. Like, look what inspired us. We got inspired by a whole bunch of things to become an artist. Yeah. It wasn't artists that inspired us to become artists.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because, like, you know, the influencer term, you know, obviously has been kind of corrupted with social media. And so I always tell people, I'm not an influence, I'm an inspiration. Yeah. I'd rather inspire people to do their own thing. Yeah. And I find, as an artist, inspiration is everywhere. And inspiration for an artist is like a mosaic, where you've got all of these little pieces of inspiration that, when you step back, have created something entirely unique. Yeah. So, like, we may have the same inspirations, but the way it's put together is unique. Yeah. And so it's very much like a mosaic art piece, where all those inspirations create something uniquely yours.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
With the, like, you've touched based on it before, like inspiring younger artists and artists that want to join in. Is there like, yeah, you gave so much advice in this episode anyway, but what's like one key advice you wish you knew before, like before jumping into this?
Yeah, so like, obviously I've had it's funny too because I do go sometimes into what some other younger artists like to call sage mode, where I just spout off all these wisdoms and stuff. So I've already done, do the work, don't be a dick. I've already done finish your shit, or I've already done what's the best that could happen. Another one is all the best shit is just beyond your comfort zone. You've got to constantly be pushing your limits to get beyond where you are. And understanding that just everything is just beyond your reach, and you just got to keep crawling towards it, is where you understand that the pain is worth it. That be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If I'm too comfortable, it doesn't feel right.
That's exactly it.
It's like I've always got to be pushing. I've always got to be pushing the limits because I feel like I
mean, that's why it feels good when you succeed. When you get there, because it's a relief.
Yeah,
you're tired. It's like it's tiring to get to that point, and that's why you feel like euphoric.
Yeah.
When you get there, and it's what you said. It's like it's just out of your reach. It's just we have to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So I guess all my greatest hits of Sage Mode have been already hit.
But that's the thing, man. You got many more things to come. I'm pretty sure you still have albums in the works. That's. Like you got your greatest hits, but you got albums still coming.
You have to do that, comic. You have to do it.
Maybe I'll start my own podcast. But
why not?
Why not, man?
Honestly, why not?
You're way better speaker than us, man.
Honestly, man.
It's funny too because I do talk too much, and I was like,
you talk good. You're good. As in like. We're the wrestling crowd, and you're like
legit. It's good.
I'm a storyteller.
I'm a storyteller. You got us locked in.
Yeah, but no, again, I really appreciate you guys, giving me the time to chat with you and share my story, and I guess be your first Samoan guest and first guest from New Zealand.
I think you're like our only Samoan friend. We have some, but they're not like in our reach. It's like
and the first guest from New Zealand, I guess. Am I?
Yeah.
Yes.
Unless Maria counts because she is Maori and she's from
Melbourne.
Yeah,
her
voice isn't New Zealand, that's for sure.
I still think she's Greek, but
but no, honestly, it's been a pleasure, and I'm so glad that I got to do this with you guys, and especially christen the new spot.
We appreciate you, man. And it's like, honestly, we wanna we'll get your most famous cover, maybe your comic book. We'll get a cover and put it just to stamp. The first Samoan in our place. We get one of your artworks and put it in here.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, I can hook you up with something. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Appreciate it, man. And we got to put the wrestling videos as well of the King moves.
See if I can find that.
I have to put that. Yeah, I need to watch that straight away. It's in my head since you mentioned that.
Yeah. I could christen this table with a powerbomb if you want one. I can powerbomb you through this table if you want.
Okay. Once we get the new table, you can.
I would pay to see.
Once we get the new table, you can.
Let's tell the people where they can find you online.
Yep.
And if they want to, I don't know if they can challenge you in Tekken 8 when it comes out one day. But yeah, just let them know where they find you.
Sweet. It was real easy to find me. My name is Tekken Michel, but you don't even have to worry about that. You can just Google BloodySamoan and you'll find me. My website's BloodySamoan.com. My Twitter, my Instagram is BloodySamoan. My Twitch is BloodySamoan. My PlayStation, PSN, Steam IDs, BloodySamoan.
Add him on those Steams and stuff and beat his ass in Tekken. Upload it, tag us so we can see it.
But yeah, I'm fairly approachable. Just because, again, being in that space on my own, I've made myself as visible as possible so that other brown kids can kind of see themselves reflected. And
hopefully with this episode, we can get more people eyes looking in this direction, and hopefully they get inspired by you, by your path, and see where it goes from there.
No, I appreciate that. Thank
you inspire people, you inspire us. It's I get motivated just hearing this stuff. So I'm more than 100% sure that an artist that's looking to get into this, hearing you, how you got, where you got, and all these stories, they'll be inspired to do the same.
Honestly, yeah, so many
Even if-
different
even if
things
they
as
do
well.
like
So many different
50%,
random
yeah.
things, and he's doing good in all of them.
That's
That
good,
should
man.
motivate you
It's
to-
it's fun. It's
Yeah.
fun. It even like I've pushed my limits like a whole bunch of times, but there's stuff still that I don't take the risk in.
Yeah.
And like literally,
Same for
this
me.
talk made me want to risk it.
Yeah, there you
And
go.
what's to lose? I'll
Why
do
not?
it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I joked on my social medias. I did this video where I kind of made myself Thanos, and I was collecting childhood dreams like Infinity Stones. So it was like Tekken, wrestling, comics, animation, film and television. And everyone's like, leave some dreams for the rest of us,
Yeah.
bro.
You gotta chase them, bro. You gotta chase them.
Yeah, you definitely have to chase them.
You
But,
can't just dream about it. You gotta
Yeah.
you
you gotta wake up and be like,
you can't talk the talk. You gotta
You gotta
walk
walk
the
the
walk.
walk,
Yeah.
You gotta dream while you're awake.
There you go.
People
That's
are
it.
dreaming while sleeping.
That's
This is the difference.
This is the difference.
But nah, to fast way for Toy Fellow IE, thank you very much. For
Appreciate
Thank
you,
you for
man.
everything,
Thank you
man.
so much. And
Hopefully, we can have you on another time as well.
Yeah.
If you
Oh,
ever
we
come
will
down.
have him.
We'd love to have you.
I think next time we'll probably have him and Maria because
Yeah,
I would like to see that banter.
Yeah, that'll be good banter. Yeah, it'll be sick banter.
It'll be a short episode.
Are we gonna, who's getting power bombed?
Nah,
It's not Maria.
Sweet.
All right.
Thank
Peace
you.
out, guys.
take
Good
it
job.
easy, guys.